Lights, camera, action? How about lights, camera, Jackson? In today's video, let's talk about the Lakers starting center, Jaxson Hayes, because if you've been paying close attention, Jaxson Hayes has been more than serviceable. He's actually been very good. So in this video, I want to quickly outline and highlight the ways in which Jaxson Hayes has particularly excelled as a starting big man for your Los Angeles Lakers. Before we get started, if you guys could please do me a huge favor and like this video, comment down below, and most importantly, hit subscribe. I put a lot of time and work into curating all these clips, editing them together, consolidating them in a nice, easy, digestible manner. So if you guys appreciate the work that I do, please give me a subscribe and I would be eternally grateful. All right, with that out of the way, let's get into some tape of Jaxson Hayes' standout month as the Lakers starting center. So his stats may not jump off of the page for you, particularly because Jaxson Hayes' minutes has been quite sporadic in the last 16 or so games, and also because the Lakers have sort of veered more towards small ball. But overall, in the minutes that he has played, Jaxson Hayes has proven to be a very productive and dynamic big man for the Lakers on both ends of the floor. All right, let's get the obvious stuff out of the way first, because offensively, Jaxson Hayes has been a tremendous vertical release valve for LeBron James and Luka Doncic. Because whenever LeBron James and Luka Doncic drive into the paint and draw the defense in, Hayes has been able to take full advantage of the lob angles that open up, utilizing his explosive athleticism and ability to catch the ball anywhere above the rim to finish off some very exciting alley-oops. He's also been a great pick and roll man because whenever Jaxson Hayes gets a head of steam behind him, he can really charge in and throw down some ferocious tomahawk posters on poor, unassuming defenders. And overall, Jaxson Hayes has just done a really good job of just making himself available in the paint, staying patient in the dunker spot, and waiting for the play and pass to develop. And usually, whenever he gets the ball, all he has to do then is go up strong and hammer it down. And then at other times, because of the attention that LeBron James and Luka Doncic draw, Hayes can sometimes use his speed to catch defenders off guard by putting the ball on the floor and quickly jamming the ball down himself. Over his last 16 games, Jaxson Hayes is shooting 77% from the field, and that's largely due to him keeping things simple as the vertical lob threat, as the pick and roll man, and as a rim runner. But what I really want to highlight in particular today is Jaxson Hayes' overall improved defense. So let's start with his shot blocking and rim protection. Because over the last 16 games, Jaxson Hayes has made a much more concerted effort to really track the ball, meet people right at the rim, and be a solid weak side backline defender who can really clean up at the basket. As it currently stands, we are literally in the most prolific shot blocking stretch of Jaxson Hayes' career. Here's a fun stat that you guys probably didn't know, but Jaxson Hayes has actually recorded at least one block in 15 out of his last 16 games. He has actually never done this before in his career. This is Jaxson Hayes' longest sustained stretch with at least one block a game in his career. He's been a lot more consistent as a shot blocker and has done a much better job channeling his insane athleticism into some real productive, tangible rim protection on the other end of the court. Over his last 16 games, Jaxson Hayes is averaging 1.5 blocks per game in just 22 minutes. Considering that Jaxson Hayes only averages 0.7 blocks a game in his career, for him to double his output in the blocks department by averaging 1.5 blocks per game in just 22 minutes is a welcome sight for the Lakers, who desperately need someone on the back line to clean up for them defensively in the absence of Anthony Davis. But even apart from Jaxson Hayes' tangible shot blocking numbers, even when he doesn't get the literal rejection, Jaxson Hayes has done a great job keeping his hands high and utilizing smart positional verticality. He's made a concerted effort to shuffle his feet all the way into the paint and has done a better job making sure he stays in front of his man all the way to the final shot right at the rim. And in general, Jaxson Hayes has just been a much more engaged and attentive defender overall, utilizing his mobility to come out to the perimeter and help contain ball handlers. Because he can actually move his feet and is pretty nimble and agile, Jaxson Hayes can play up to the level of the ball, trap ball handlers, contain pull-up jump shooters, and force them into tough contested shots. Jaxson Hayes can slide his feet very well on the perimeter against on ball attackers and can shadow and track them all the way into the paint and deter their shots at the rim. And overall, Jaxson Hayes has just done a really good job of utilizing his long 7'3" wingspan in combination with his agile mobility and explosiveness to really cause havoc defensively. And then, if we're just talking about Jaxson Hayes' overall motor, he's just been active as all hell. And I know Jaxson Hayes has typically been frantic and manic and frenetic all of his life, but in this last stretch, Jaxson Hayes has learned to harness all of his Tasmanian devil-like energy into some productive defense for the Lakers that doesn't involve manic fouling. Jaxson Hayes has really adopted that garbage man dog mindset and mentality of the Lakers and has hustled for loose balls, dove on the floor for 50-50 balls, and really sacrificed his body. He's scrapping a lot more, getting his hands on a lot of loose balls and tapping balls out. He's bending down low and making sure that he lays his body out. His motor has been running at 200 miles per hour, and his overall energy and activity has been very infectious and has seamlessly fit in with the rest of the Lakers' gritty dogs. And so that motor and activity has actually translated pretty well to Jaxson Hayes' overall better rebounding. Now, Jaxson Hayes has never been a prolific rebounder in his career. Over his last 16 games, he's averaging about 5 rebounds a game in just 22 minutes. And I know those numbers won't necessarily jump out at you, but again, for a player like Jaxson Hayes, who has never been a prolific rebounder in his career, and as someone who spends most of his time jumping up to try and contest shots at the rim, 5 rebounds in 22 minutes is actually a pretty decent rebounding average for Jaxson Hayes, all things considered. Because when it comes to rebounding, if you watch Jaxson Hayes' tape over the last 16 games, he has made a much more concerted effort to box his man out, crash the glass, and fight for contested rebounds amongst the trees. And these days, even when he goes up to contest a shot, he's trying a lot more to finish the play off by also securing the board on top of that. And when you take a look at the types of rebounds that Jaxson Hayes has been securing, you'll notice that Hayes is doing a much better job scrapping and competing for the ball. In this last stretch, Jaxson Hayes has games of 12 rebounds, 10 rebounds, 8 rebounds, 7 rebounds, and another 7 rebound game versus the Clippers last night. And a lot of these rebounds are hard-fought boards that Jaxson really earned, so you have to give him credit for pumping up the intensity in crashing the glass. Also, keep in mind, some of the best rim protectors like Miles Turner, Brook Lopez, and Jaren Jackson don't actually average a lot of rebounds. They all average around 5 to 6 rebounds per game, and that's mainly because they're busy protecting the rim and blocking shots, so they leave the rebounding up to their teammates. And I think this is much the same case for Jaxson Hayes, who has more of a propensity to try and block the shot every single time down. But again, in this last stretch, even though it's just 5 rebounds a game, if you look at the types of rebounds he's pulling down, Jaxson Hayes is really fighting to secure those boards and at the very least tap them out to teammates who can secure them for him. And then lastly, I just really quickly wanted to highlight Jaxson Hayes' in the flow passing and playmaking, because I actually think his playmaking as a 5-out big is one of his most underrated skills. Jaxson Hayes has got pretty good instincts and vision at the top of the key, hitting cutters like LeBron James for easy dunks, throwing some over-the-head passes that are pretty impressive. He knows how to swing the ball to the open man on the perimeter, and as a short roll guy, he has pretty good processing skills and knows how to find the open pockets on the court to get the ball to wide open guys on the baseline for 3 or to find cutters right at the rim. He's had 2 games in this last stretch where he's averaged 4 assists, which is really impressive for a big man. And I know most people will call Jaxson Hayes unskilled, but again, as a big man, this is really all you could ask for when it comes to making solid reads, keeping the offense moving, and finding the open man. All right, so there it is, the Jaxson Hayes video, the Lakers' most low-key, underrated secret weapon on their roster, starting center Jaxson Hayes. Now, let's be clear, I still want the Lakers to go out this summer and trade for or sign a legitimate starting center, but I just wanted to make sure that we take some time to legitimately highlight Jaxson Hayes' solid play in the interim, because he has done more than a good job filling in for the Lakers. And all things considered, Jaxson Hayes has well outplayed his veteran minimum contract. I know a lot of people this summer, a lot of fans were bemoaning the fact that Jaxson Hayes got a player option in the first place and that he opted into that player option. But as I've been saying this whole last year, thank God Jaxson Hayes opted in because he has been a tremendous help for the Lakers, especially now in Anthony Davis's absence. And this summer, after the Lakers get their legitimate starting center, I would love to have Jaxson Hayes back as a backup big man because we know the floor that he can provide. All right, with that said, that'll do it for this video. If you guys could please do me the favor of liking this video, commenting down below, and more importantly, above anything else, please hit me up with a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. This has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.